If you've got an LLC, then you need to get an operating agreement. My name is Andrew Ayers. I'm a business law and estate planning attorney who works with families and small businesses to protect their legacies through planning. Today we're going to talk about an operating agreement as it's used with LLCs. Now for me personally, my business is not an LLC, so I use a different type of agreement. We generally refer to them as foundational agreements, and they're the agreements and the documents when you first form your business. You'll usually find them in the front of your black binder that has all of your important documents in it. The first is always going to be your articles of incorporation, and then next up is your operating agreement if you have an LLC. So when clients come to discuss this with me, they usually fall into two camps. One, they did an operating agreement, they're all set to go, but now we need to make some changes. Two, they've heard about operating agreements, but they don't have one. And then every now and then there's the third category, which is, I've never heard of the agreement at all. What do I do now? Why do I need an agreement? I don't know. Nobody told me I had to do that. I filled out my forms on a website, and I got no instruction after that. So an operating agreement is used for an LLC. If you have a different type of business, it'll probably be called something different. A shareholders agreement, for example, for a partnership agreement for partners. So depending upon the type of business you have, you may not have an operating agreement. But for LLCs in most states, you will need to have an operating agreement. This agreement does not have to be filed with the state, but you do need to have a copy of it and you have it available. Again, you want to have it in your binder with the rest of your important corporate documents. So what's in an operating agreement? So it's like an estate plan in that it should be tailored to your LLC. It shouldn't just be a generalized form that you found on some website for $59. Some common things that need to be in there are the purpose of your LLC, which is oftentimes just for general business purposes. Day-to-day operations. How is the business going to operate on a day-to-day basis? Who are the members who are treated as the owners of the company? The duties of the members. So the LLC has members. Who are they and what do they have to do? And then management provisions. How is the LLC going to be run? Are the members the one running it, or are you going to hire a manager to manage the LLC for you? When you start up, are there contributions that each member is putting in? It can be goodwill, it can be hard work, it can be money, it can be technology. Is there a process for members to leave the LLC? And this is extremely important because if you have multiple members in your LLC and there comes to a disagreement down the road, you want this process spelled out in advance, or else you're stuck going to your local court to figure out how to divide up your business. What happens if a member gets divorced? Now, a lot of people laugh when I bring this up in the meeting. So why would it matter what happens at home? Well, depending upon when the LLC is opened, the person's spouse may have a right to a portion of their interest in your LLC. And you don't probably want that spouse to suddenly be one of the members and have a say in the way the business is going. Maybe you do, maybe you get along with them very well, but most people would prefer not to have to deal with an angry ex-spouse when managing their LLC. Very important, what happens if a member dies? This is when you want to make sure you have a business succession plan that lays out what happens to a member's interest if they die. Is there any liability of the members? Now, normally the reason you formed your LLC is to protect you from liability, but there may be cases where liability needs to be addressed in your LLC. And then finally, you need a dissolution process. I know you don't want to think about this. Your LLC is going to take over the world. It's going to be the greatest thing. But not every LLC gets to that point. And at some point, a company has to be wound down. The legal term is called dissolution, and that's where we wind up the affairs of the company. If you don't have that provision in your LLC operating agreement, then you're going to be left to a court. I've dealt with these corporate dissolutions before. They can go on for years and years, and it would be simply solved by just having a simple article with a few paragraphs in your LLC that lays out what happens. Now, going back to the beginning, there's two ways we can do this. One, you can be the type of person who's heard about the agreement. Maybe you found it on a website, you paid $59, and you can try to muddle your way through the agreement. The smarter way is way number two. Work with a professional. Find an attorney, a financial advisor, an accountant. Get your LLC operating agreement together so you have all the right provisions in there and you have a functioning LLC that has a future and has a plan for whatever will happen. If you'd like to discuss an LLC operating agreement for your company, go to my website, andrewmayers.com. Click the schedule a consultation button. You'll be taken to my personal calendar. We can set up a legal strategy session to review where your business is and how an LLC operating agreement can help you.